I have decided to dismantle, or at least partially dismantle, this Chevy motor I've been working on. I put the head back on it yesterday and got it where I had some compression. I kind of reviewed my numbers this morning. I've got 3 good cylinders on one side, 2 good cylinders on the other, and the other 2 cylinders are at about 60 pounds compression. I've got time because I've ordered a cam and a timing chain, and I thought, well, there's no reason not to pop those heads out and at least pop out the pistons with low compression. And what I can do, and this might sound weird, because nowadays when someone rebuilds a motor, it's almost like there's a rule. Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to spend this much money, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, back in the old days, that wasn't so. I mean, it wasn't just a standard book of knowledge that everybody had to follow, which meant you had to spend $500 on an engine rebuild. And what we used to do, or can do, you can pop out a piston if the rings aren't broke. If you can get those rings off that piston and clean the grooves out and put them back on and get a ridge reamer and run it up and down that cylinder, that ridge reamer will scratch up the sides of the cylinder wall. Because what happens if your rings kind of collapse into the piston grooves and then they get kind of greasy or get some oil in there, they'll stick. And then the sides of the cylinder walls also get pretty slippery, and you don't have anything to keep the oil from slipping past the rings. And what we used to do when we raced cars, a lot of times in street stock, we'd run old junker motors, and we'd wind them up, you know, pretty high with the carburetor open, and I'd pour a can of Bon-Ami down in the carburetor. The idea for that was that Bon-Ami would scratch up the cylinder walls and give us a little more compression, so that we keep that engine running a little bit longer before we take it out on the track and knock the fenders off of it. But what I'm thinking about doing here, since I've got a few days, is go ahead and pop off the heads, because I want to take this one off anyway and put a new gasket on it, and take out that worst cylinder first and look at it, examine the rings and the rod caps and all of that, and then you know, what I might do is I might wind up taking all the pistons out and re-honing and kind of looking into rings, replacing any that are broke. I don't know. But I mean, rather than just I'm not very good at sitting around and waiting, and my computer's driving me crazy right now because for some reason the way I've been loading videos is getting to be harder, and I think it might be because my new camera uses a bigger file. I don't even know what's going on with that, but that's driving me crazy. I need to get out here and take an engine apart. So I'm going to pop that head back off, probably pop both these heads off, and take, you know, drain the oil out of it and take the oil pan off and take at least one of the pistons out, and we're going to have a look at it. And I'm going to take that back piston on that other side out. That's going to be the plan. So I can use my air wrench for that. So the first thing I said is, where's my air wrench? I always put it right back in that drawer, and it's not over there. And that's not like me. There it is. It is like me. There it sits right there. Okay, let's get this head off right now before I do anything else. Well, I suppose I could get an oil bucket and put under here, and I'm doing that. That's got to come out too. That way later when I take the oil pan off, all that oil will be out of there. I'm gonna go inside and get me a tea jug to pour that old oil into. I'll be back.